Listen to me closely. When she reaches out after being quiet, the very first instinct for most of you men is to react right then and there. There is a rush of emotion, a little jolt of adrenaline, maybe some butterflies, because suddenly the woman who disappeared is back in your phone. And in that exact moment, it is easy to forget everything that happened before. The confusion, the disappointment, the late nights spent overthinking what went wrong. But the truth is, your first step is not to respond. Your first step is to pause. Just because a woman reaches out does not mean you owe her access to you. In fact, the smartest thing you can do is take a breath and ask yourself, what do I actually want here? Not, what does this text mean? Or, what should I say to seem cool but interested? But what do I want for myself? That one shift in your mindset changes everything. Because when you focus on your own needs instead of the noise, you become the one in control. It is not about playing games. It is about protecting your peace. When a woman goes quiet and then reappears without an explanation, you are not obligated to make it easy for her. You are not here to soothe her ego, feed her curiosity, or validate her impulses. You are here to decide, does this align with the standard I have set for the people I allow into my life? There is an emotional cost to being so available, especially to a woman who was not consistent to begin with. And most of the time when people rush to respond, it is not coming from confidence. It is coming from a place of scarcity. It is that tiny voice inside that says, this might be my last chance. What if this time it is different? But let me tell you, that voice is lying. That voice is trying to trade your standards for temporary relief. You do not need relief. You need clarity. The pause is not just about buying time. It is about regaining your perspective. It is a moment to step back and remember how you felt when the silence first began. Were you left confused? Did you feel disposable? Did you give more than you got? Because if you do not honor the reality of what happened, you will start romanticizing the version of the woman who just reappeared, when that version might only exist in your imagination. Let us say she sends you a message like, hey, I have been thinking about you. That line might sound sweet, even nostalgic. But what does it really mean? Thinking about you does not fix what broke. It does not rebuild trust. It does not explain why she disappeared in the first place. A woman can think about you while doing absolutely nothing for you. She can miss the comfort of you without ever showing up for you. So instead of reacting emotionally, respond intentionally. Even if that means not responding at all, ask yourself, what has changed since the silence? Did she come back with clarity, accountability, and intention? Or did she just pop back in with a lazy message, hoping to be let back in without doing the work? You are not looking for effort in the form of a text. You are looking for effort in the form of change. A woman who values you does not just reach out, she shows up. And here is something most men do not realize. The longer you delay your response, the clearer your power becomes. When a woman knows she can disappear and you will be right there the second she calls, she does not have to try. But when you make her wait, not out of spite, but because you are genuinely assessing your boundaries, you become a man who cannot be picked up and put down at her convenience. You become a man who respects himself too much to confuse attention with effort. Let us be honest. Sometimes the message you receive is not even about you. It is about her boredom, her ego, her loneliness, her desire to check if she still has access. And if you do not pause, you will mistake her impulse for intention, and you will be right back where you started, unsure, unsettled, and overinvested. What if instead of feeling flattered, you felt curious? Curious about her motives. Curious about what she actually brings to your life right now. Curious about why she thinks she can come back without acknowledging the absence. Curiosity creates distance between you and the illusion. It puts your heart in check. And from that space, you get to ask yourself better questions. Is this what I want, or is this just what is familiar? Am I being chosen, or am I being recycled? That is where your strength lives. You have got to remember your response is not just a message back to her. It is a message to yourself. It is you saying, this is how I deserve to be treated. This is the energy I will allow in my life. You do not rise by chasing potential. You rise by honoring your reality. That means if she comes back, you do not default to the fantasy. You default to your truth. The pause gives you the gift of memory. It reminds you of how silence felt when you did not deserve it. It gives you the opportunity to ask, did she reach out because she missed me, or because she missed a version of me that made things too easy? That question matters because how you respond sets the tone not just for the conversation, but for the kind of relationship you are willing to have moving forward. This is not about punishing anyone. This is about valuing yourself enough to say, if you want back in, you have to knock like a woman who means it, not someone who disappears when things get real and reappears when it is convenient. And if she cannot do that, if she is not bringing emotional maturity, effort, or accountability, then your silence is the answer. And that is the truth most people avoid. You do not have to respond just because someone remembers you exist. Your worth is not up for negotiation the moment she decides to text. The real question is, does she still deserve access to you? That is a powerful place to respond from. Your response begins the moment you realize you do not need one to feel whole. You know, it is so easy to get excited when we hear from someone we have not heard from in a while, especially if it is someone we cared about deeply, or someone who ghosted us, or maybe just faded out and left us in confusion. Suddenly your phone lights up. It is her name. A message. Maybe it is, hey you, or been thinking about you, or the classic, how have you been? Your heart skips a beat. Part of you wants to smile. Part of you wants to throw the phone across the room. But let me tell you something important that I need you to hear clearly. That message, that little ping you just got, that is not a comeback. That is a ping. Let me explain what I mean by that. When a woman genuinely wants to come back into your life, really come back with the intent to repair, to reconnect, to rebuild something meaningful, she does not just drop a half-baked text like, hey, stranger. She makes an effort. She shows intention. She takes responsibility because she understands that silence, especially after disappearing, creates distance. And that distance cannot be closed with a lazy one-liner. But a lot of women do not understand this, or maybe they do, and they just do not care. Because what they are doing when they send that vague little message is not coming back. They are just pinging you. They are testing the line. It is the emotional equivalent of tossing a pebble into the water to see if it makes a ripple. They want to know, are you still there? Are you still accessible to me? They are not necessarily saying, I want to invest in this again, or I'm ready to be serious, or I have realized your worth. No, they are saying, I am bored. I am lonely. I am curious. I wonder if you are still available to me. And here is the trap. Because you missed her. Maybe you still have feelings. Maybe there was no real closure. So when that ping lands, your heart jumps and your mind starts spinning stories. Maybe she has realized what she lost. Maybe she has finally grown up. Maybe this is the beginning of something real. But more often than not, that ping leads nowhere because the woman who sent it had no plan, no commitment, just a moment of nostalgia or ego or convenience. What I want you to start doing, what I need you to start doing, is stop giving so much weight to the ping. Just because a woman has fingers and a phone does not mean she has earned your attention. We live in a world where reaching out is effortless. People can slide into your DMs, fire off a text, send a voice note, and feel like they have made some grand gesture. But that is not effort. That is not pursuit. That is not a sign of growth or change. That is just activity. Do not confuse activity with intention. The real question is not, did she reach out? The real question is, what does her message mean? And more importantly, what does it mean to me? Because unless that message comes with clarity, accountability, and a genuine desire to move things forward, it is just noise. It is emotional spam. And you do not need to respond to spam. You filter it, you block it, you move on. Now, I know that is easier said than done, because when a woman you care about reappears, even if it is just a blip on your screen, it stirs things up. You remember the good times. You feel a glimmer of hope. But I want you to stay grounded. Ask yourself, what has she really said here? If all she has offered is a vague opener, do not rush to fill in the blanks. Do not start writing a romantic novel in your head based on a single shallow sentence. Make her work for it. Make her show up. Because if a woman truly values you, she will want to remove the ambiguity. She will want to earn back your trust, not just your time. And let me be clear. Your worth is not measured by who texts you. It is measured by how you respond. Any woman can say, I miss you. Any woman can send a 2 a.m. you up message. That is not connection. That is access. And there is a big difference between a woman wanting to connect with you and a woman wanting access to you. When a woman reaches out after silence, she should be stepping up, not just popping in. Well, what do? How do you respond? First, take a breath. Do not get swept away in emotion. You do not owe anyone an instant reply. In fact, that pause, that space is powerful. It gives you time to ask the right questions. What do I actually want here? What pattern has this woman shown me before? Does this feel like genuine interest or just a lazy attempt to reopen a door she walked away from? Be honest with yourself. If you do choose to respond, do it from a place of calm confidence, not need. You are not trying to win her back. You are not trying to impress. You are just communicating. Simple, direct, self-respecting. Something like, hey, it has been a while. What made you reach out? That one sentence puts the ball back in her court. It tells her, I see you, but if you want access to me again, you are going to have to show me why. And that is exactly the kind of energy you want to hold. You are not punishing her. You are not playing games. You are setting a tone. You are setting a standard. Because if a woman wants a place in your life, she should be willing to meet you at your level, not pull you down to hers. And if her response to that is vague, if she dances around the question or dodges it or throws out more fluff, you have got your answer. She is not here for something real. She is here for a hit of attention, and you do not need to supply that. Look, you are allowed to care. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to miss a woman, but do not let missing her override what you know. A ping is not a plan. A message is not momentum. Connection requires more than curiosity. And if a woman wants to come back into your life, She needs to prove through consistent action she is worth letting back in. Remember, a message is not a comeback. It is just a ping. Let us talk about something really important when it comes to hearing from a woman after she has gone quiet. Something that's tripped so many men up. It is the idea of matching energy, not emotion. Now, what does that actually mean? When a woman you have been talking to suddenly pulls back, disappears, or just goes radio silent for a while, and then out of nowhere, ping, she reaches out again. It can trigger a rush of emotions. You might feel excited, confused, even a little hopeful. And if you had strong feelings for her, it is so easy to let those emotions take the wheels. You start replaying old memories in your head. You think about the connection you used to have, the laughs, the chemistry, the way things felt when they were at their best. That emotional history gets reactivated the second you see her name light up your phone. And all of a sudden, you are not responding to the message she barely said. You are responding to everything you wish this message meant. But here is the problem. That is not how attraction is built. That is how men end up chasing illusions. Responding with your emotions, especially those rooted in the past, means you are showing up with energy that does not reflect what is actually happening right now. It is like walking into a negotiation and giving everything away up front because you are thinking about how good the deal used to be, not how it is today. So when she reaches out after silence, your job is not to meet her with nostalgia. Your job is to observe, not absorb. What kind of message did she send? Was it thoughtful? Was it intentional? Or was it a lazy, low-effort hey you that she probably sent to 3 other men in her contact list? That matters. Matching energy means recognizing the level of effort a woman is putting in now and meeting that with the same level of investment. No more, no less. If she sends a vague, non-committal message, you do not come back with paragraphs. If she says, I have been thinking about you, that offers no context, no accountability, no next step. That is not something to emotionally unpack or celebrate. There is something to note. It is not about playing games. This is not about pretending you do not care or trying to be cold or aloof. This is about having a healthy emotional boundary. You do not build value by showing up at 100 when a woman is barely showing up at 10. That is how you train a woman to believe she does not need to try harder because you will do all the heavy lifting for her. Let me be real with you. A lot of women reach out after silence, not because they miss you deeply, not because they have had some grand epiphany, but because they are bored, lonely, curious, or even worse, looking for validation. And the minute you respond with warmth and excitement that is disproportionate to what she gave you, she gets that validation without doing any of the work to deserve it. Then what happens? She vanishes again, and you are left asking, why did she even come back? When the better question is, why did I respond like she earned a comeback? Matching energy keeps you grounded in reality. It protects you from false hope. It creates space for the woman to actually show you who she is now instead of who she was or who you wish she would be. And when you respond at her level, you force her to either rise up or fall off. There is no middle ground where she can stay comfortable with minimal effort. Think about it like this. If a woman walks into your life and offers you crumbs and you respond like she just served you a 5-course meal, what message are you sending? You are telling her that the bar is low, that you will take anything. That is not attractive. It does not make her want to step up. It makes her think she can step in and out as she pleases. But if instead you stay calm, measured, and you mirror the level of effort she is giving, you create a dynamic where her next move has to be intentional, because now she knows she does not get to skip the line just because she has been here before. And here's the best part. When you operate from that place, you feel powerful. Not because you are playing hard to get, but because you are hard to get for the wrong people. You know your worth. You know your time is precious. You know your heart deserves consistency, not confusion. So the next time a woman reappears after ghosting or disappearing, do not get swept away in the history. Do not let the nostalgia do the talking. Look at what she is actually bringing to the table right now. Is it vague? Is it lazy? Is it safe for her but risky for you? Then match that. Not with coldness, but with clarity. Not with pettiness, but with poise. You do not need to chase a woman who left you confused. If she wants another chance, let her earn her way back in. And if she is not willing to, that is not your loss. That is your filter working. Silence after inconsistency is not rejection. It is redirection. You may miss her. You may still think about the way she looked at you, the way she made you feel, the way things could have been if she had just stuck around. That emotional pull, it is real. I am not going to tell you to switch it off like it is a light. You are human. We build connections. We build memories. And those do not just disappear when a woman goes quiet. But here is the truth. Most men do not say out loud. Your standards do not get put on hold just because a woman you once cared about decides to suddenly pop back into your life. When a woman disappears, whether for days, weeks, or even months, and then suddenly reaches out, it stirs something. You start to wonder, what does this mean? Has she changed? Did she realize what she lost? Should I give her another chance? And all those thoughts are understandable. But what often gets lost in that swirl of emotion is the one thing that actually protects your peace, your standards. You can feel 100 things at once: attraction, curiosity, nostalgia. But none of those things should override what you know you need in a relationship. If she is coming back without accountability, without clarity, without any evidence of change or growth, then what she is offering is not a new beginning. It is a rerun. And if you did not like how the story ended the first time, what makes you think the script has suddenly changed? The real danger in these moments is not the message itself. It is the meaning you assign to it. We want to believe women reach out because they have had some kind of emotional epiphany. We hope they have spent their time in silence, realizing our worth, mourning our absence, and crafting a new level of appreciation for us. But more often than not, that text is not about you. It is about her. It is about comfort, curiosity, or even just boredom. And here is the uncomfortable truth. When you let feelings alone guide your reaction, you risk betraying yourself. You risk putting your self-worth in the hands of a woman who already showed you how much or how little she values it. Think about that. This woman had access to you. She had your time, your affection, your attention, and at some point she chose silence. That was her decision. That was her standard. So when she returns, your job is not to immediately open the door again. It is to ask, what has changed since then? Did she just disappear when things got real? Did she ignore your needs, vanish without explanation, and now just assume you are still there, ready to pick up where you left off? Because that tells you more than the actual message does. If her silence came without respect, her return needs to come with more than just words. You need to see consistency, follow through, and intention. That is the currency of a woman who values you, not a 1 a.m. you up or a vague I have been thinking about you. Now, let us be honest. Replying feels good. It gives you a hit of validation. It feels like you finally have the upper hand. She came back. But if that validation comes at the cost of lowering your standard, then it is a short-term win and a long-term wound. Because the next time she disappears, and chances are, if nothing has changed, you will feel that same sting, only deeper. And worse, you will feel like you saw it coming. So instead of focusing on how you feel about her reaching out, focus on how you want to feel about yourself afterward. Do you want to feel proud that you maintained your boundaries, that you did not accept less than you deserve? Or do you want to feel like you compromised, that you handed back your power just because a woman knocked on the door again? And this is not about being cold. It is not about holding grudges or playing games. It is about choosing alignment over attachment. You can still care about a woman and recognize that she is not what is best for you. You can still wish her well and know that going back would mean going backwards. That is strength. That is self-respect. And that is what sets apart a man who lives by his standards from a man who lives by his emotions. Let me tell you something powerful. The woman who truly deserves you will not leave you wondering. She will not disappear and then return like nothing happened. She will be consistent, communicative, and clear about what she wants. And if a woman is not giving you that, then no amount of history, chemistry, or romantic fantasy is worth sacrificing your peace. So the next time she reaches out after silence, remember this. Your emotions are valid, but your standards are vital. If you do choose to respond, remember this. Set the tone. Do not fall into the trap of thinking you have to tiptoe around her just because she has finally reached out. Too many men, when a woman comes back after a long silence, reply in a way that communicates gratitude rather than clarity. They respond like they have been rescued from emotional limbo, like they have been waiting by the phone for this very moment. That energy hands over your power instantly. And worse, it rewards inconsistency. You are not here to reward silence. You are here to respond in a way that makes it clear you value yourself. And you are not just an open door that swings whenever a woman decides she is ready. Again, that does not mean being cold or dismissive, but it does mean that the tone of your message communicates who you are now, not who you were when she disappeared. When a woman comes back after disappearing, it is easy to get swept up in the relief or the nostalgia or even the hope that maybe this time it will be different. But none of those emotions should write your reply for you. Your reply should come from strength, not longing, from awareness, not wishful thinking. So, how do you do that? You set the tone with calm curiosity, not emotional investment. A simple message like, "Hey, it has been a while. What made you reach out?" That is it. You are not biting. You are not throwing your heart onto the table. You are flipping the script and making her show her hand. You are not playing games. You are just not doing the emotional heavy lifting anymore. The reason that line is so powerful is because it does two things. First, it acknowledges that time has passed, that this is not just picking up where you left off. That silence meant something. That time changed things. It puts the ball in her court. It makes her accountable for showing her intention. If she replies with something vague like, "just thinking about you," or "just wanted to say hi," that tells you everything you need to know. Because real intention has weight. Real interest has a plan. And a woman who wants back into your life shows up with purpose, not just nostalgia. When you respond with calm clarity, you shift the entire dynamic. You are not the one waiting for a sign of interest anymore. You are evaluating whether the woman reaching out deserves a place in your life now. And that is an entirely different energy. You are no longer saying, "Oh my God, she texted me." You are saying, "Let us see what this actually means." And do not think for a second that this calm tone goes unnoticed. A confident man who does not over-explain, does not gush, does not emotionally flood the conversation after silence. That is magnetic. That makes a woman stop and think, wait, he is not jumping at this. He is not impressed just because I messaged. That tells her you are not waiting. You are living. That tells her you are not the same man she left months ago. That maybe, just maybe, she has to earn the chance to speak to you again. Here is what happens when you do not set the tone. The moment she messages you, you reply quickly, enthusiastically, maybe even emotionally. You ask how she has been. You tell her you have missed her. You create a safe, welcoming space with no friction. And while that might feel like a kind thing to do, it unintentionally says, there are no consequences for disappearing. You can come and go as you please. But when you do set the tone, you give her a different message. You say, I am open to hearing what you have to say, but I am not going to emotionally invest until I know you are showing up in a real way. That changes everything, because now it is not about her choosing you again. It is about you deciding whether her presence adds value to your life anymore. It is subtle but powerful. It is especially important because, let us be honest, some women come back for the wrong reasons. Loneliness, boredom, ego, a temporary sense of nostalgia. And if your tone says, welcome back, I have been waiting, then you risk letting a woman back in who has not actually changed, who has not done the work, who is not ready to meet you where you are. But if your tone says, talk to me, show me who you are now, then you get clarity fast. And clarity is what you need, not fantasy, not potential, not memories. You want to know right now who this woman is. And more importantly, what she is actually willing to do to rebuild trust. So when she reaches out and you choose to reply, remember this. Your message is not just a text. It is a mirror. It reflects your self-worth, your boundaries, your growth. It communicates to the other person what kind of relationship you allow in your life. Now, that does not happen by accident. It happens by intention. You are not chasing closure. You are not auditioning for affection. You are inviting accountability. You are showing that your heart is valuable, but access to it is not free. Not anymore. Let her feel that. Let her step up or let her go. That is the difference between reacting and responding with power. When a woman disappears on you and then casually drops back into your life, it is easy to feel a wave of emotion crash over you. There is confusion, maybe a flicker of excitement, and if you are honest, probably a little bit of longing. That moment where the message pops up, where her name lights up your screen again, can feel powerful, almost like a second chance is knocking, and everything in you might want to jump at the opportunity to respond. But here is the truth that gets overlooked far too often. Silence is also a response. We tend to think that we owe people words, that when a woman reaches out, it is polite or emotionally intelligent or somehow more mature to say something back. But silence, when used with intention, is one of the most powerful tools you have. And it is not about playing games. It is not about being petty, cold, or trying to make her wonder what you are thinking. It is about alignment. It is about asking yourself, does this woman actually deserve to come back into my space? Let us go deeper. If a woman walks away from you or slowly fades out, what she is saying, whether she admits it or not, is that you were not her priority. Maybe she got distracted. Maybe she was not ready. Maybe she took your presence for granted. Whatever the reason, she left you with silence. And that silence, it was not just empty space. It said something. It created a story. It told you where you stood. So when she comes back and the silence is broken from her side, you are under no obligation to fill the gap for her. You do not owe her comfort. You do not owe her closure. And you certainly do not owe her a response if her reappearance does not come with meaning. A hey is not an apology. A how have you been is not accountability. A re-entry without intention is just convenience. Too many men make the mistake of replying out of habit, out of hope, out of old feelings that were never resolved. They feel seen again and mistake that moment of recognition for value. But being seen does not mean being chosen. And that is where your power comes in. You are allowed to sit with her message and say, this does not feel like enough. You are allowed to look at it, take it in, and move on with your day. You are allowed to protect the peace you built during her absence. Because here's the part no one tells you. If a woman ghosted you or pulled away without explanation, and now she is reappearing without a real shift in behavior, your silence is not rude. It is respectful to yourself. Silence can be a clear boundary. She says, I heard you. I see what you are trying to do, and I am not interested in opening a door that you walked away from. It is not a tantrum. It is not punishment. It is clarity. It is your way of saying, I will not be reactivated by half-hearted effort. Sometimes we feel guilty about silence because we are empathetic. We think, what if she has changed? Or what if I am being too harsh? But growth does not beg for clarity. A woman who is really grown will not be discouraged by a pause if she is serious. If she truly understands the weight of her past silence, she will not be scared off by yours. She will reach again with intention, with presence, with respect. And if she does not, that tells you everything. Think about it. If the silence you are giving her causes her to disappear again, how committed was she really? You do not want to build your emotional world on a woman who cannot withstand one quiet moment. You want a woman who does not just come back, but comes correct, who knows what it means to lose you and puts in the effort not to let that happen again. Let me say something else that might hit a nerve, but it is the truth. If a woman ghosts you and then you respond enthusiastically the moment she resurfaces, what you are teaching her is that there are no real consequences for disappearing. You are saying, you can go quiet for weeks, months, even longer, and I will still be here when you get bored or lonely. And that is not love. That is not connection. That is conditioning. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And silence is one of the strongest ways to say, I do not tolerate half effort. I do not entertain low standards. I do not respond to breadcrumbs. When you stay silent, it is not about trying to get revenge or make her feel what you felt. It is about self-worth. It is about no longer bending yourself into a version that is always available, always hopeful, always forgiving, even when the behavior did not deserve forgiveness. And look, it is not easy. It is tempting to break that silence, to say, maybe I will just say hi just to see. But when you do that, ask yourself, what am I actually hoping will happen? And is that hope based on real effort or on a fantasy you have been keeping alive? When she reaches out, After silence, your silence in return is the clearest mirror you can hold up to her behavior. It reflects who she really is in that moment. Will she step up or fade again? Either way, you get the truth without games, without drama, just truth. And when you value yourself enough to not respond to weak attempts at re-entry, you stop inviting more of the same. You create space for something deeper, something worthy. You show the universe and yourself that you are no longer available for anything that does not match the love and respect you are willing to give. So do not be afraid to say nothing. Sometimes the strongest message is the one you never send.